I'm not ready is a lie. It's a sexy excuse. It's a great thing that we tell ourselves. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not ready is a well dressed, perfectly practiced, well rehearsed, intentional excuse. It's really a costume that we put on ourselves to allow ourselves to be quiet, to play small, to not have to show up, and to pretty much just stay the way that we are. It keeps us off of the stage completely and never lets us even discover where center stage of our life is. And because of that, someone is languishing right now. They're suffering in that same silence because of that beautifully, wonderful, sexy, well dressed, well rehearsed lie. I'm not ready. Let's talk about that. Now, I'm going to do something a little different here on our live. As I'm introducing myself, I'm going to see if I can come over here to Facebook and uh, and tag a few people while I'm doing this. And we'll see just how good I can actually multitask while I'm doing a live. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 38, soon to be 39 books, and more on the way behind that. And I help people, I've helped them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. There's over 5,000 people that have best-selling books thanks to the specific people I've worked with. And then in addition to that, the people that I've trained or that are using my system, oh my gosh, that would be an even larger number. I've been a marketing company for the last 39 years or more now. Um, and we really love to help you do that one and only thing. And that's to get clear, to really truly be clear, to know what clarity even is or means. And I know I'm talking a little weird because I am also, like I said, I am also doing a little bit of an invitation here while we're talking. But I want you to see it. I want you to understand and know just how powerful you are, as opposed to that lie that you took on. It's like it's like if somebody told you when you were little that you're stupid and ugly. Okay? Very, very mean thing to say. But and we've all, and some of you may even be in that place where we take those things that were said to us or about us when we were tiny, when we were 5, 6 years old, and we've carried them now ahead for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however old you are. Maybe you're in your 80s, and you're still carrying this message of somebody else saying and telling you you are X, and you believing and buying into it. And those are the kind of excuses and the kind of lies that we find ourselves stuck, caught, trapped in because they're so much a part of our reality that it goes beyond, we don't even question them. We have accepted that that is truly how we are. And one of those, sadly, unfortunately, all too often, one of those is, sit down, be quiet, don't speak up, you're not ready, let the older people speak, you need to learn more. There's a quote, a scene from the movie Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox back in like 1986, I think is when that movie first came out. And Michael J. Fox, makes a comment, and it's a really brilliant concept. And in fact, it then becomes kind of the whole underlying concept of what he lays out, what the company should do. And he says it out loud in the executive board meeting, and the whatever the guy's title is, executive director, says to him, "How old are you?" And he's like 25. He's like, "Well, do not speak again until you're 26." You know, and And unfortunately, in that movie, he doesn't take that on, but you can see in that room the people that are, um, have taken the words like that have been spoken on them, over them, to them, and they've created their identity as that person rather than being the person who really had the insight and really said, there's another place in that movie where he quotes, because he's found out all this information, and I don't want to tell away the whole story to you, but he's basically usurped a position, and put on a fake name to become an executive in a company, when technically he actually works in the mailroom. And as his place in the mailroom, he's been reading all these inter-office memos that are going back and forth between the executives. And he says to one of the guys, you said so, you understand, you said so in your memo. And the guy's like, well, how did you see that memo? He's like, that memo, how could I have not seen that memo? That memo was, and it's that kind of thing, you know, rather than having that brilliance that we have that is totally who we are, we live in that lie. And we practice, we drill, we rehearse it. You remember I've said many times, the quote from my good friend Kevin, practice doesn't make perfect. Because if you practice doing the thing wrong, all you're going to do is get really perfect at doing it wrong. Okay. And we have practiced this lie. We've dressed it up. We've made it beautiful. We've created a world for ourselves where that lie is the truth, when in fact it was never true. Now, maybe it was spoken into your life. Maybe somebody, maybe an older sibling, maybe a parent, maybe a teacher at school. I mean, maybe. And I know for some people, I've had enough discussions with people, and I know for some people, they can go back when they finally start looking at this and start challenging it. They can go back and think of when they spoke up in school and the teacher, said something mean to them, or the children in the class laughed at them, and the embarrassment they felt, or the demeaning that the teacher, or all those kind of things. I remember one time don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was about when I was in about seventh grade. Um, we had a particular teacher, and it doesn't matter what subject or whatever. I don't even know that I remember, but they gave us a test, and like everybody failed the test. Um, and the teacher came back and said something to us like, well, I know this was a really hard test. In fact, my husband, who works at another school but teaches this same subject, he took the test and he only got like a 70% on the test or something, you know. And I'll never forget that minute because, and I was used to getting pretty good grades most of the time, and I did through most all of school. Um, but I'll never forget that time because, first of all, that bad score on a test, when you're a good student, that impacts you. Um, and then, second of all, you have to bring home to your parents because in this particular case, because everybody in the whole class failed the test, um, you know, she made us all take it home to our parents and have our parents sign that they had seen it. Well, my dad, it riled him up. And, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the whole thing he wrote, but he wrote this long, kind of menacing parent note back to the teacher about how dumb it was, and how obviously she wasn't doing a good job teaching if she gave a test that absolutely nobody could pass, that was so hard that even her husband, who was also an expert in the subject, couldn't get a perfect score on. Um, and I'll never forget that because that was what had the opportunity to be a real defining moment and became a different type of defining moment because then was when I knew, and I think I always knew it, but I remember that time. That was one of the things that solidified that I knew that whatever crazy failures, any of those kind of things, I knew that my dad was in my corner. That he didn't necessarily always agree with me. My dad and I were always close, and up until the very last minute of his life. I mean, we could talk about things. And it wasn't that we always agreed, but it also became an open space for me to be able to use my intelligence and my brilliance and my gifting, the gifting that I want to bring to bear in your life, that insight, that vision, that ability to be able to help you get clear. And that's been showing up my whole life. Even when I was in high school, going on drives with my dad, spending time with my dad, I would have insights, and my dad would be like, wow, I hadn't thought about that. And sometimes we were talking Bible verses, sometimes we were just talking life. And we formed a bond that was of mutual respect. And then, of course, obviously, even more so when I became a young adult, and I was in adulthood, there was the open space for there to be that level of respect, and also for me to practice way before I used it in any type of a business type of a situation, to practice that skill of seeing a thing and seeing the possibilities of that thing, and then taking it to the next level of seeing a person and helping them then dig through all of these lies, all of these sexy excuses, all of these beautiful masks that we put on to cope, and get to clarity, get to truth, get to reality. Ready, in some respects, ready is a wrong word, because really, in truth, you're never ready, and you're always ready all at the same time. You see, who you are right now today, the absolute person you are right now today, is 100% ready and 100% not ready. Because what we do is we judge ourselves based on somebody else, rather than looking at who we are and where we are today. We take a look at that someone else. And I've heard a lot. It's waning a little bit recently. Some of that's the communities I'm in, but a lot of that is also because Oprah isn't in as much in the spotlight as it was, in those first couple of years after the Oprah show ended. Okay. Sure, you're done pinging me to death. We're just ignoring it and having a great live, talking about your lie of not being ready. I'm not ready to answer that message, which actually is a truth. But it's not because I'm not ready. It's because I want to focus on this live. Okay. But, I mean, for a long time, there was a lot of people that were like, I want to be the next Oprah. And I understand the having that as a goal, as a purpose. Okay. But it also became a really sexy excuse. Two things on that. Number one, Oprah did a great job of being Oprah. We don't need Oprah Part 2. We don't need Oprah 2.0. We need you. We need the you that is you. 100% fully you. Okay? That's number one. Number two is that where you are right now is absolutely what somebody needs. You see, you may not be at the Oprah, at the Tony Robbins, at the Dean Gracioso, at the whoever it is that's pinging me to death right now. You may not be at their level, but whose level you are is you're somebody's Oprah. You are the person who, sure, you are the person who somebody else is looking at and going, oh my gosh, I hope someday I can be Patricia. I hope someday I can be Steve. I hope someday I can be the person pinging me on the phone, whoever that is. Okay? They see you in that same light. The same way, I love this example of it, because have you ever taken, a 3, 4, maybe 5-year-old? Have you ever taken one of them to McDonald's? McDonald's to that young child is just the coolest place in the world. They have Happy Meals. Your food comes in that little box. They've built a whole play structure just for kids. whatever kind of things. Maybe it's the ball pits, maybe it's the slidey thing, maybe they have, it just depends on particular McDonald's you're in. They got that big, ridiculous looking clown. All the people are wearing those super cool outfits. Now, anybody that's ever worked at, had a friend that worked at, or is an adult that's been to McDonald's, okay? Pretty much everybody that I'm talking to or ever will listen to this, okay? Your ideal dream at your adult age life is not to hope, want, wish, dream, pray that someday you can be the person at the counter at McDonald's asking, would you like fries with that? Now, on the flip side to it, there is somebody who that is the ultimate goal for them. And I'm going to get back to that in a second because let me finish up the thing with the child first. That wide-eyed child, they think it's just the coolest in the world. What an honor it is to spend all day at McDonald's. I remember when I was working as a delivery driver, I had a business I was running during the day, and then I worked. Technically, I became the assistant manager at a Domino's Pizza, but most of the time I was just as a delivery driver. And my kids just thought it was so cool. Like pizza was magic, and it just appeared in my car. And like they could just call Domino's and get unlimited pizza. Wasn't really truly the case, but that's how it felt for them. And those little children, they say, when I grow up, I want to work at McDonald's. When I grow up, I want to be a delivery driver for Domino's Pizza. And as their parent, you don't want to cap their imagination. So you don't really tell them, it's like, oh, honey, whatever you do, don't ever, it's the worst place in the world to work, right? You just kind of let them go with that dream and that imagination. We don't let them set a stake in it. If they're still, if at 30, they're still talking about how someday they're going to be promoted to being the assistant manager, diner server. Yeah. Someday I'm going to be if they're 30 and they're talking about how someday they're going to get promoted to assistant manager here at Burger King, then we need to talk, sweetie. All right. That's when, as a parent, you need to come in and help them up level their vision. Okay. And help them with their clarity. And there's a lot of those kind of things. However, with that said, that brings me to the other piece of the puzzle that I was going to bring to for the person. Have you ever seen somebody who has some type of a learning disability that works at McDonald's or other type of place like that? And often the person that I'm thinking of, they don't have the mental capacity to actually run the cash register and to make change. And it would be dangerous for them to be like the fry cook. Okay. But they're the greatest workers you can get in places like that, because you can get them to go out into, the main cafeteria area and collect all the trays and throw away the little paper mat, the little paper placemat, and wipe off the tray and make them sure they're all nice and clean and ready for the next person. And they're great at going to the other side, the backside counter, and bringing the Coke that has been filled up to the counter, and bringing the fries up to the counter, or bringing the bag that was packed to the person. And they're happy. They're delighted. That is, oh man, I mean, the level of joy that a person like that can show puts us all to shame, because they are living in the heart and soul and core of their passion. They may not know much, and they may not have the capability to do mentally some things that other people can do, but they're living in the maximum of their potential. And if you watch a person like that, you will be inspired, because they know how to live, as their whole person that's whole and fully in it. That's exactly the right way of saying it, Patricia. They are 100% engaged, completely delighted, and they're living their life. And that's the point I want to get through to you, is you need to be living 100% of who you are right now. I did a radio interview with a lady just last week that runs a whole company that helps children with autism learn the skills to be able to not only make it in school, but have the life skills. And it's pretty cool because they've learned ways now, with the cell phone, that many children who are not verbally communicative can actually learn communication skills through the use of texting on their phone. And they can like type out the message and hold it and show it to the person. And for that person who, for whatever reason, they don't have the capability to verbally, for example, make their order at McDonald's, they have the ability now to go up and order their food themselves. What an amazing life skill. And that lady gets to spend all day helping people like that. And she's built it now. There's like 100 franchises. And she's now also doing a whole new division of her company that is helping people because she's been helping because she found out that at 5 years old, there's medical insurance will still cover it, but there's no programs that help people over 5 years old. And so she created a whole company that works with people that are older than 5. And now she's creating a whole new division that are for the people who are, they're aged out of the system. They're like 18, 19, 20 years old is the top of, when a person's in school and those kind of things. And they still have life skills and things that they want to need to learn. And that's super cool. That's her living in her purpose to help them live in their purpose. And she was talking about how cool it was. She met a guy, fell in love, got married, and became instantly the mother of an autistic child that was like at the time about 3 or 4 years old. And then when the child turned 5, they quote unquote aged out of that particular system. And there was no other autism learning schools at that time for the 6-year-old. And so she went and created one. She knew who she was. She had an opportunity. She had a need, and she filled that need. That's clarity. That's truth. It wasn't because, she had spent 30 years working inside of a, blah, blah, blah autism system, autism system, and then decided to create. And I'm not saying that, that could be a way to go about it, but she saw a need. She learned to process, and she then learned how to apply it to people who are in need. Somebody needs you right now. Not after you get more polished and perfect, not after you do another 50,000 dress rehearsals, not after you've tried on every shirt you've got in the closet to see which one is going to be your signature shirt. Not after you've gone to the beautician or the barber shop and whatever, and you've had a couple thousand different haircuts to identify your signature style. Not after you, spent the next 10 years trying out catchphrases so that you can have your, and that's the way it was. I'm Walter Cronkite, and that's the way it was, And so, when you get your catchphrase, then you're going to be ready. No, you're ready right now because somebody's waiting on you. For every person that you admire, there's somebody that either does aspire to be you and does admire you or wants and needs to. And if they're not aspiring and admiring you, it's not because you're not admirable. It's because you're not clear and you're not seen. I'm giving you the clarity right here now today. And if you DM me the word, what's our word for today? We have a word for today. Look it up. Come down. The word today is ready. Of course it is. Should have remembered that. I can't believe I forgot. If you DM me the word ready, if you put the comment in the messages, in the comment section, if you put the comment, the word ready, what will you look like when you're ready? It's a line from a poem that I wrote. You know what you'll look like when you're ready? Pause this, stop listening to it, whatever. Go look in the mirror. Hold up your phone. You don't even have to go to the mirror anymore. Hold up your phone, turn on the camera, make sure that the front facing camera is on, and look at that person in the camera. That's what you'll look like when you're ready to go live. That's what you'll look like when you're clear, powerful, and ready. That's what you'll look like when you have a message that somebody needs desperately. It's not going to happen next week, next month, next year. It's already there. That beautiful, shiny face of yours, shaved, unshaven, you're wearing a t-shirt, you're wearing a collared shirt, you're all casual, you're outside, you're inside, you're on your phone, you're on a laptop, you're on a desktop, you have a 4K camera, you have a 1K camera. I don't think there actually is a 1K camera, but that was fun for me to say. You know, you're talking in a 8K, or you're talking in 480 by 480 by 640, which most of you don't even know what that graphic format is, because we're talking about a graphics card from the 90s. Okay? When you find somebody that needs you, isn't going to be when you're going to finally decide to get ready. You're going to decide to get ready when you just do it. Decisions happen like this. You've right now, today, while I've been on this live, you've made 1,000 decisions. You decided to join the live. You decided to or not to, add a comment, add a like, add a heart. Okay? You already made those decisions. You decided, for those that have come and left, you decided to leave. Maybe you decided you don't like my face. That's okay. Maybe you think I'm cute. I mean, whatever decision you've made. This isn't me asking you to, make posts and tell me how much you think I'm, it's not about that. But you've made all those decisions. 90% of the decisions, probably more than that. It's probably 99% of the decisions we make, they are instinctual and habitual. We don't think about them. Have you ever found yourself when you're in the bathroom and you're going to brush your teeth? You get the toothbrush, put the toothpaste on there, you start, you don't think about it. You don't have to go through a whole decision tree cycle of, should I go to the bathroom and brush my teeth? Where is my toothbrush? What do I put on the toothbrush? Do I own toothpaste? What is toothpaste really? Let's spend the next 20 or 30 minutes contemplating, what is toothpaste? Why was it made, and why did we start using paste? And we go off on this rabbit trail, like you do with cute puppy videos. There is this group on Facebook that I'm part of that's all Yorkie, baby Yorkies, like my little Mocha, who still looks like a pup, even though she's 11 years old now, and it's just cute Yorkie pictures. Oh my gosh, I could spend forever on that page. And 99% of them remind me of my little pup. And if you were to look through my pictures on my phone, you're going to run into more and more Mocha pictures. And most of them are Mocha's backside, because Mocha doesn't like being on camera. I have to trick her, catch her off guard, offer her a treat or something to get her face on camera. Now, if I have food, she'll gladly sit up, let me take a picture, and just keep begging, as long as she gets some of my food. That's why she got fat. But when we're using the toothpaste, I know you thought I totally hijacked myself, but I knew where I was. When we're using the toothpaste, we're not having this deep intellectually spiritual, enlightened thought experiment about, what toothpaste is and what is the meaning of toothpaste life. And where does toothpaste go after you spit it down the sink? And what would recycled toothpaste be like? I mean, no, we put it on the brush, we brush our teeth, spit it, rinse out our mouth, and we go on. Start of the day, end of the day, middle of the day, all the times we brush our teeth. And we just do it. Same thing's true. I talked to you the other day about how, maybe your one thing is that you know how to tie your shoes and you have a teaching program on this is how you tie your shoes. It's geared for adults who never learned how to tie your shoes because their parents never bought them shoes with laces that tie. And how rugged would it be to be a full-grown adult and never be able to wear lace shoes because you never learned how to tie shoes? But for most of us, we put on the shoes, we boom tie them. We didn't even, we don't think about where do I put my leg? How do I hold my leg? Where do I, we just do it. That's like 99% of our life. What if we bought into the lie today, right now, this minute, even though you've been tying your shoes for all these years, that you're horrible at tying shoes? You should never tie another shoe again because you suck at it. What if you decided to take that message that I just said on and accept it and take it into yourself and no longer tie your shoes or ever wear shoes with ties? Because that one day in July of 2025, Steve Kidd said that I suck at tying shoes. And so therefore I'm traumatized forever over tying shoes. Yeah, I'm being facetious. I know I am. But that is no different than that beautiful, wonderful, sexy, excuse of a lie that we tell ourselves every day that says, I'm not ready. You are. You've spent literally every single moment of your whole entire life being you. When you were acting on stage as somebody else, you were you playing a role on stage. When you were pretending as a small child to be a superhero or whatever, it was you pretending. You were being 100% fully you. It's never escaped you. When you lost your ever-loving mind, I have a friend of mine that went through massive psychosis and lost her literal bleeping mind for a while and is dealing with the aftermath of some of that stuff now. But through all of that, that is now a part of who she is. See, I'm not here to judge whether or not what you did in your past, whether you were let's go from extremes here, whether you were a pasty pale virgin priest who has never even thought about being in a romantic relationship and has spent your entire life cloistered in a monastery reading the Bible. And that's all you've ever done your whole entire life. I don't know how you got on this live stream today, okay? Or you have been working right up until today as a professional porn star. And you've been doing it since technically you were actually too young to be doing that and it wasn't actually legal. And that came out of the trauma of having been abused as a tiny, small baby all the way through your whole entire growing up life. Okay? I mean, and I'm only using those not to traumatize somebody, and I hope I didn't, but I'm using those as extreme examples of You're probably somewhere in the middle of those. You're probably not at either of those extremes, but you are 100% you. You are absolutely, completely, and totally you. In every one of those situations, in every one of those places, you are an expert at being you. You may not be clear. That's what I'm here for. Hi, I'm Steve. I'm here to help you get clear. PM the word, or I'm PM. Yeah, PM me. You could do that too. DM me, PM me, comment, send me smoke signals, whatever you need to do to get in contact with me. Type the word ready. If you're ready, if you don't feel clear at all, if you're like, man, Steve, okay, fine, I want to go live, but I don't have a clue of what to do. Let's talk. Let's not talk tomorrow. Let's talk today. If I need to talk to you at 10 p.m. my time tonight, absolutely, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm all in. You get a hold of me. You DM me. You PM me. You put a comment here. You do whatever. And it doesn't matter whether you're listening live or it's 2 decades from now. I don't care if I'm this same bright and shiny face or if all my hair's fallen out or it's completely white and I'm just older and wiser than what I was when I'm doing this live right here, right now. I'm here. I'm all in. Okay? I want you to be clear. You need to be clear because somebody's waiting on you. And that sexy excuse of I'm not ready, it doesn't pass anymore. And if there is any excuse, anything, any piece of the puzzle that you need, I mean, in fact, when you message me in whatever way, direct message, private message, comment, whatever, I'm even going to send you a Kickstart guide. It's a clarity Kickstart map that I created. It's just a one-page thing that's going to start you to begin getting clear. I'm going to give you 15 minutes of my time for free to talk to you about clarity. And then if you need to go beyond that, I have $197 programs all the way up to several $100,000 programs. We're going to get you clear. You're going to get clear. But the only reason to do it is so that you can get live right now. Okay, I don't want to spend the next year getting you clear. I want to give you a little tasty morsel right now, right here today. And I want you to share that one thing you know. I may not know anything, but the one thing I know is your one thing. Okay, in fact, for anybody that's not clear, here's your prompt. I'm going to give the rest of you another prompt here in just a second. But anybody that isn't clear or is buying into the I'm not ready excuse or has any kind of preparatory thing that you're using as your reasoning, here's your prompt. Your prompt is this. Hi, my name is, and I'm not clear, but today I'm starting the journey because I'm here for you. That's it, period. Boom. 5 seconds done. Put it out there. Do it right now. My name is, I'm not clear, but I'm here for you. Make that commitment and then go to your schedule. Consistency, clarity, consistency, connection. Go to your schedule and block off no less than 15 minutes every single day, 7 days a week. This is going to be your time. And whether you share another 5 seconds tomorrow or you do like what I'm doing and you spend about 40 to 45 minutes every day with people being clear. And we'll talk to you and we'll teach you all of the how to repurpose that and how to build a community and all that kind of stuff. We've got all that. The piece we can't do is we can't come to your house and grab you and stick our hand up the back of your shirt and make your mouth move and share the you that is you, who you are right now. You are more than enough right now because you are already everything you've ever been and everything that you are right now. And there's somebody that's a step, 5 steps, 10 steps behind you. And you're going to relate better to them than somebody who's 5 steps, 10 steps, 20 steps ahead of you because they've lost the immediacy of, oh yeah, I totally know what that was like. I was going through that yesterday. If you are on a weight loss journey like I am, and I'm not in any way a weight loss coach, and I don't ever want to be, I don't think. But if you're struggling with weight loss and you need to talk, I can tell you absolutely what it's like to be sitting next in a room that is adjacent to the oven while people cook chocolate chip cookies and chocolate covered peanuts and all kinds of chocolatey, sugary goodness while you're committed to eating no flour, no sugar. I can relate to you because I dealt with that today. It's not a diss on them. They should be able to eat. I tell my mom every day, if you want to live on unlimited cookies and ice cream at 87, she'll be 87 next week. At 87 years old, you totally should. And I'm 100% behind that. Absolutely. I'm completely in. But I can talk to you about, how difficult it is to stay committed to that when other people around you aren't living that life. And you've got that thing that you're up close and personal to in your own life. I can tell you what it's like. We're just about 6 weeks out from when I've told you about being done with my business. I quit completely. I can tell you what it feels like to just give up. Because I just did that recently. Not there anymore. But I can still remember the feeling. I could sit down and feed that feeling and I can get back there pretty quickly because it's not that far away. Your clarity, your you right now, somebody needs what you're doing right now. They need the thing that you did well yesterday. They need the thing that you did well right now. And if you don't know any one thing at all that you did good, again, you can start with our message. Hi, my name is, and I'm not clear at all, but I'm here to help you. How can I help you today? That's right. The book that's coming out. I want to try to see if I can get it out as a Independence Day, because it's going to declare your independence. That's your prompt. If you're believing in the sexy lie, then your prompt is this. Hi, my name is, but I'm not ready. But I'm coming to you anyway because I care about what you need. Who do you think that would resonate with? I know I'm not ready. I'm not worthy, but I care enough about you that I'm here anyway. I could probably still put myself in that boat. Some of you that are, deeply follow me, you see that I was running behind today. I came on about 5 minutes late. I didn't do a pre-post that said I will be going live in the noon hour Central Time like I do every day. I haven't done a short video yet today. I could talk to you about how absolutely tired I was this morning and how behind I was. Or I could just show up. I could have made an excuse to not come on today. I have all kinds of really sexy excuses for reasons why I shouldn't have done a live today. But I'm committed to be here for you. If all I say to you and if all you hear from me is, how can I help you today? That would be plenty. And I'm here. And I want to see you message that word, ready, because I'm ready. And I want to see you be ready because I want to see you be clear, be visible, be valuable, make the difference that only you can make in the life of that person that's suffering in your silence. That's somebody that's waiting on you. Thank you for doing it. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for what you do. The whole of the universe actually is, but I'm speaking it out loud to you to let you know we appreciate you stepping up and stepping out and being there and doing it. You're worth it. And you're awesome. And I appreciate you. I hope until we're together again next time that you have an incredibly great week. Don't forget to PM me ready. Do it right now because I'm ready and you need to be ready. All right. See ya.